And all. Morning we started discussing about the FMCW radar, right? And we have seen some advantages of FMCW radar. Why FMCW radar is significant and it becomes more popular because of this is a low power radar, low power and a long range radar. You no need to pump the high power, right? Only like a CW radar, you can pump low power. At the same time, you are getting the measurements of range as well as the Doppler, right? So we started discussing about the schematic and then we arranged the RF components. We have seen the V-tune will tune the VCO so that the VCO will generate the frequency modulated RF out because it is a VCO basically. So the voltage controlled oscillation. Oscillation is controlled by the voltage, right? So oscillation means frequency, no change in the amplitude, only frequency will be varied by the V-tune. Since we have our ramp V-tune, then obviously the signal frequency also will go up and it will come down, again go up, it will come down. If you have only up chirp, then it will go to high frequency, suddenly it will come to low frequency. If you have down chirp also, it will smoothly linear motion, linear movement, it will go to the high frequency, then in the same way it will come down. So while going it is a positive slope, while coming it is the negative slope, right? So that is amplified, then divided, then it goes into the power amplifier. So the down mixer mixes the echo signal. So that signal also is a modulated signal, means some F1 to F2 or FL to FH, right? So here we are the signal has a frequency amplified, then the mixing happened. The mixing also happened with the FL to FH, FL to FH. If the target is a static target, then obviously whatever the frequency you are pumping from here to here, same frequency you are getting here with some delay, with some phase delay, with some time delay, that's all, right? Time delay. Then the time delayed signal, time delayed original replica of the transmitted signal is mixed with the transmitted signal, right? So that the mixer will give you two components, high and low frequency. We are removing the high frequency, we are getting the low frequency amplification, go to the ADC now. Then all the signal processing associated to FMCW radar will be sitting here, will be performed inside this digital or computer, MATLAB. And if it is in FPGA, it is a real-time operation. If it is in computer, it is the offline operation or relatively real-time operation, but not absolutely real-time operations. Okay. Now we will understand these concepts typically before going into measurement methodologies. This is very essential. Listen. Look now, suppose we are transmitting the frequency, something like this. I am transmitting the frequency. This is the time axis we know. This is nothing but a simple time axis. This is nothing but a frequency axis. Right? So this is called a FT plot. FT plot or spectrogram. The FT plot or spectrogram will tell you the frequency profile over the time. That means, suppose if I plot something like this, I will take one. Suppose I am plotting one graph something like this. This is a time. No matter it is in second scale or minute scale or hour scale. If it is a minute scale, you know how to convert it to second scale. If it is a hour scale, you can convert into second scale. This is the frequency. Suppose I am plotting some response something like this. This is 0. This is something like this. What does it mean now? This is the positive frequency and this is the negative frequency now. It means that whenever you are getting positive frequency means your target is approaching. Whenever you are getting the negative frequency means your target is receding. So the profile, what does it mean? The target is giving you positive Doppler, right? And then giving you negative Doppler, again positive Doppler, again negative Doppler means it is a oscillator translation in between radar. Your radar is looking here, So this fellow is coming and going something like that. While coming positive, while going negative, while coming positive, negative, positive, negative now. So since the magnitude of this frequency and this frequency is the same, speed remain constant, no change in the velocity of the target. The target is moving positive, I mean front and back, forth and back, right, at the same velocity. Therefore, you are getting the frequency response, something like that. So this is what we call the spectrogram. So spectrogram will give you the frequency time response. So the spectrogram here is right. Here is the frequency. We are starting from this time to this time now. So we are fixing the time. This is the TP time now. So this is the time TP. Pulse time. This is the pulse time now. So the V tune is something like that. Suppose we are applying the V tune. V tune may be something like this. For example, we are sending the V tune something like this. I am making it to 0. Again, I am making it to high. I am bringing down to 0. I am bringing it down to 0. And I am continuing now. This is V tune. This is the V tune now, right? The V tune is the control signal. V tune is the control signal to the VCO now. VCO. Once this V tune is applied into VCO, then we will not bother about the V tune. We don't want the V tune. But in the receiver section, we need the V tune. Receiver section, we need the V tune. But in our RF section, in our RF assembly, since the receiver unit only generates the V tune, it internally stores the information about the slope and the TP, right? Slope value and the TP, so that it no need to pick up externally into the signal processing unit. In some FMCW radar, the V tune will be generated externally by separate circuits. Therefore, you have to tape out that V tune and you have to apply into the FPGA through ADC now. You understand? Since here we are generating the V tune from the FPGA, we are passing it through the DAC, then that is going into the VCO. In case if your external circuits, independent circuit is generating the V tune, then the signal processing should have the knowledge about the V tune. Without having the knowledge about the V tune, we cannot do anything in the signal processing, because you should know when the sample starts, when the sample ends, when the pulse starts and when the pulse ends. That PRT time is required now. TP time is required now. Therefore, in that case, if you generate the V tune separately by the independent circuits, then the V tune should be tapped off, and then that should be given to ADC to give that information, the digital form, into the signal processing unit, right? That one should keep in the mind. Okay, now V tune is there now. V tune we are applying into VCO now. Once the V tune is applied, right? V tune is applied, then 0 is the V tune voltage. Starting voltage is 0, ending voltage is 5 voltage. 5 voltage, but this is 0 voltage now. But in the VCO, 0 voltage means it is not a 0 hertz. Every VCO will respond for the 0 voltage as well. For example, if the VCO is responding for 0 to 5 voltage, then it is a C-band radar. Then 0 voltage means 5 gigahertz will come out. 5 gigahertz will come out, and then 5 voltage means 8 gigahertz will come out now. Therefore, you assume that there is one VCO. That VCO has one bandwidth, 1 gigahertz bandwidth, and its operating voltage is 0 to 5 voltage. Means 0 voltage is 5 gigahertz, and 5 voltage means 6 gigahertz. Therefore, for 0 voltage, it goes into 5 gigahertz now. 5 gigahertz. Then the 5 gigahertz will go to 6 gigahertz. 6 gigahertz in the same duration of time. This is nothing but our 6 gigahertz. This is nothing but our 5 gigahertz. Therefore, the beta bandwidth is here 1 gigahertz. Bandwidth is here 1 gigahertz. That means the bandwidth beta is equal to FH minus FL. This is our FL. And this is our FH. Listen carefully. This is our FL. This is our FH now, right? So it goes into 6 gigahertz. Then it will come down to FL at this FL frequency. Then this will go to the 6 gigahertz again. It will come down to 6 gigahertz. Then it goes up. So no matter what V tune we are applying into VCO, because our interest is how the frequency profile is varying. Because the V tune is required here in order to modulate the RF frequency. After modulation, we are going to process the modulated signal for so many detections, so many applications now. So V tune and modulation frequency has no direct relation in magnitude. There is a direct relation. That means it is triggering. It is a triggering. That's all. It is something like that. Suppose who will say Akhil is there. Akhil is there. Akhil no, slightly I'm slapping in its cheek. Then he is shouting big sound. This slapping action is a chota action, but that fellow is shouting with a big sound. So understand, like that, this V tune voltage, that voltage we are applying into VCO, but VCO is modulating RF frequency, 12 gigahertz frequency, 24 gigahertz frequency, 8 gigahertz frequency. It is modulating in frequency. It is modulating its frequency, right? So that frequency is varying from FL to FH. Again, FL to FH, FL to FH. So FL is 5 gigahertz corresponding to 0 voltage, 6 gigahertz corresponding to 5 voltage. This is not the standard one. It varies VCO to VCO now. This is just for example I have taken. Therefore, the bandwidth of modulation is now 1 gigahertz. Bandwidth of modulation is 1 gigahertz. Fine. Next, suppose the pulse repetition time here is TP. This is nothing but PRT. Therefore, this is nothing but 1 divided by PRF. PRF. So there is a pulse period. There is the PRT. There is the PRF. Therefore, this is the parameter of pulse radar. Parameter of the pulse radar. And there is the continuous transmission. You see the frequency goes from 5 gigahertz to 6 gigahertz. There is the continuous transmission within the TP pulse. Continuously, we are transmitting the RF signal by modulating its frequency continuously. Therefore, it is called linear modulation. Linear frequency modulation means every cycle frequency increment is there. Every cycle there is increment in the frequency. That increment will be decided by the slope factor. Right. So linearly we are modulating and we are sending the signal. So if you look the time domain, if you look the same signal in time domain, you will be seeing something like this. Low frequency, then slightly high frequency, increased frequency, high frequency, amplitude is remains same, right? Again, so one PRT is over. Again low frequency, again high frequency, again high frequency, another PRT is over now. So if you look at this signal in the real-time oscilloscope, you will look like this. So low frequency, high frequency, every cycle there is increment in the frequency now. So this is called linear LFM, linear frequency modulation. Linear frequency modulation. Like a stepped LFM is there, staircase LFM is there, triangular modulation is there. Since we are sending the ramp signal linearly, we are increasing the V-tune voltage, the frequency also will linearly increase. Because of this V-tune increment can happen in so many ways. Suppose instead of linearly increasing this one something like that, if I increase something like this, I'm maintaining here something, some value here for some time, then some frequency, some voltage, I'm bringing it down, again some voltage, increase in this way. Now how look like your frequency? Till this time you have one frequency only. Then here slightly increased the frequency. Then again slightly increased the frequency now. So during this entire period, you will have only one frequency. So if you plot the spectrogram for this signal, your spectrogram will look like something like that. So here one low frequency for some time, then another low frequency, another frequency, your frequency also will go in this way. So this is 6 gigahertz, for example, this is 5 gigahertz now. So the 5 gigahertz to 6 gigahertz is not linearly increased. It is increased in the staircase, stepped increment. Because our V-tune is applied, stepped increment is applied in the V-tune. Therefore, the frequency also increased in the stepped level. Then it will come down. Again, it will go something like this. So the way, what is kind of profile we are applying at the V-tune, the same profile will be applied into our frequency modulation as well as. But in all the cases, we are modulating the frequency only. Since in the pulse modulation, we applied the amplitude modulation, but if here we are applying the frequency modulation. In the pulse compression, next module we are going to talk about the phase modulation. Right? Okay. So this is the signal I am applying now. This is the signal we are transmitting. This going now, frequency 5 gigahertz into this gigahertz now. Now, what is the slope of the signal now? Every increment will have some slope, right? Every increment will have some slope. That is represented by S. That slope S is equal to, you can derive this equation from this one, y equal to mx plus c, y equal to mx plus c, right? We are interested only for the slope. Therefore, right, you can take, maybe you neglect this term, then m is equal to y by x. Therefore, the slope is equal to beta divided by your TP. Slope is equal to beta divided by TP. Beta divided by TP. In alternatively, slope is beta divided by TP in the sense, you look here now. This is one slope. Suppose I am taking another slope. I am drawing the different slopes, fixing the time. This is my time. This is the TP. This is the TP. You take. This is one slope. Frequency increment. This is the frequency axis. This is the time axis. Another one slope is this one. Another one slope is something like this. This one, right? You look here. Whenever we fix the TP, right, and then if you increase the slope, obviously your beta will go up. Obviously your beta will go up. You see here, this is the frequency from here to here. This is the frequency from here to here. This is the beta. Now this is the beta. Now this is the beta, right? So look here, the slope is equal to beta divided by TP, that is y-axis value divided by x-axis value. X-axis is TP, y-axis is beta. From this equation, beta is equal to slope into TP. Slope into dP. That means if you increase your TP, obviously your beta will go up. Obviously your beta will go up for fixed slope. For fixed slope. Or if you say, then obviously your beta will go up. Your beta will go up now. So all are dependent parameters. All are dependent parameters. But however, the slope is high. Slope is high for the fixed TP. Obviously, the beta also will be high. Beta also will be high. In order to bring that beta, obviously you got to increase the TP. You got to increase the TP. Therefore, S will come down now. The idea is there is a dilemma. So these two products should be equal to beta. If you increase this one, this fellow can be decreased. If you increase this fellow can be decreased. Slope, signal processing circuits you have, because the slope is directly related to the capability and accuracy of your signal processing. That you will understand as we progress now. So time being, you understand that slope is equal to beta divided by TP and beta is equal to S into TP. That means slope into pulse repetition time. Pulse repetition time. That is nothing but S into PRT. That is nothing but S divided by PRF. PRF. So the continuous transmission make this fellow as the CW radar. Understand it? Then the PRT, PRF, this parameter makes this fellow as a pulse radar. Therefore, this is the combination of pulse radar and CW radar is called the FMCW radar, because we are transmitting the modulated carrier. Right. Fine. Now, look, now we will understand, then we go to the advantages. Suppose we are transmitting this pulse now. Look here, we are transmitting the pulse. You assume that it is something like that. I will take for analogy, suppose I'm sending you this kind of pulse. Okay, this is the modulated pulse from here to here. Assume now, from here to here it is modulated. We are sending the pulse here. Continuously we are transmitting. Continuously we are transmitting now. Suppose one target is at 1 kilometer. For example, one target is at 1 kilometer. See, this is one target. and this is the another target. I will take this is the another target, right? So this, can you able to see this one? All these things I'm keeping on my board. Are you able to see?
Yes,
All
sir.
of you?
Yes,
Okay. This FL to FH is coming in here. It is FL to FH is coming. It will hit this target. Then the FL will come out. I mean, will be scattered in all the direction. FL plus delta F, 2 delta F, 3 delta F, F kachi. So it is coming now. Once the F kachi is FL, F kachi, again FL, F kachi, again FL, F kachi. So what is coming back to the radar? FL, F kachi, FL, F kachi, FL, F kachi, FL, F kachi. So the same pattern, no? That same pattern, low frequency, high frequency. Immediately low frequency, high frequency, low frequency, high frequency. So the modulated signal is keep entering into the receiving antenna because of this target, So this is one turn around the subpath. Then the same signal in the forward journey, the signal that is felt on this target scattered in all the direction in front of the target, that is keep continuing, no? Then that signal will again fall in this one. Again, that also will come back now. Therefore, the echo signal also will be from F, it is a static target. But the transmitted signal, same version of the transmitted signal, original replica of the transmitted signal, the transmitted signal as it is will reach the receiver chain with some time delay. Right? For example, suppose it is appearing at this time now. This is appearing at this time now. So FL only will come to us. No any other frequency will come. FL only will come to us. From that FL, this frequency will go to FH. So this frequency will go to again FH. It will go to FH. Then that fellow will come down to FL. Again it will go to FH. So this is the TX signal. This is our TX signal. And this is our RX signal. This is our RX signal. Now we talk about only the one target. As we progress, we move into multiple targets now. Now there is one target, right? So the FL to F, this signal, the transmitted signal, felt on the target, scattered in all the direction. So we are getting the echo signal. So there is some time delay that is called a turnaround time delay. So that time delay is here now. So this is nothing but a time delay. Right? So this time delay is directly proportional to the range in between radar and the target. Range in between radar and the target. If the target is away from the radar, obviously you will get return somewhere here. You will get return somewhere here. You will get return somewhere here. But wherever you are getting return, whatever the time incident you are getting echo, that echo will definitely start from FL. Definitely will start from FL now. Right. So you are starting from here, then it goes into this one. It is coming back here. It is coming back again here, right? So it goes back. It goes back now. Now listen, dear students, what happened? This is the transmitted signal. This is the received signal. These two signals we are super heterodyning at the receiver. Means the same signal we are doing here. You look here. So this is again the modulated signal. This signal is nothing but this kind of profile only. And this signal also is this kind of profile, but with some time delay. So these two signals we are mixing now. So whenever we are mixing these two signals in the down mixer, so what happened after the filter, this frequency and this frequency, the difference is there, no? The del F will come out. That del F is nothing but IF. This is the del F frequency. Del F frequency. So the del F frequency, no, the del F frequency the del F frequency has a direct relation to the range. It has a direct relation to the range. How? Suppose if the range is somewhere here, you assume range is somewhere here now. Then if the frequency goes from here FL to FH, you see the del F now. Now the del F is very high. Here the del F is very low. So del F will be increased if the range is increasing. If the range is far away, the target is far away from the radar, the corresponding del F will be obviously high. If the target is close to the radar, the corresponding del F will be obviously low. But however, the time delay is directly related to the range the target now. So once if you accurately measure the time delay, or once if you accurately measure the del f, it is possible to measure the range. It is possible to measure the range now. So what happened now? I am plotting this echo signal, means the IF out. So I am plotting the IF out here. The IF out will be something like this. T, right? So this is the TP. This is the TP, 2 TP. This is 1 TP, right? 1 TP. You listen now. Till this time, no any received signal. Therefore, only noise. So the received signal is noise. So nothing is there. Till this time, at this time, the frequency starts. One frequency is there. Till this time, there is the frequency. The frequency constant till this time. Because from this instant to this instant, this time to this time, the slope is remain same. Because it is just same slope, same signal with just some time delay. Therefore, instead of superimposing like that, it is superimposing like this. Right? Therefore, there is a frequency. This is nothing but a del f. From this time to this time, the frequencies del f is remain same. So if you take the frequency axis here and time axis, the del f is here. It is in the IF level. Maybe some 300 megahertz or 500 megahertz, 200 megahertz. This frequency and this frequency, this frequency and this frequency is having the same equal del f. But after this time, this fellow has a low frequency. This fellow has a still high frequency. So the difference will go high. It will slightly improved here. So then this ratio, you look here. This is increasing. This also increasing. So this is maintaining here now. This is maintaining. After this time, again the difference becomes same. So this fellow will come down. So dear students, you will be getting IF all the time. So we have to measure the range in frequency. We have to measure the Doppler in frequency. So in FMCW radar, everything will be measured only in terms of frequency. Because the IF only will give you the range information. IF only will give you the Doppler information. Frequency now, because the del f is going up, obviously your target is far away from the radar. If the del f is coming down, then the target is coming close to the radar. If the further del f is going away, del f is increasing, then your target is moving away. If the del f is fixed, then the target is at that particular range. So the FMCW radar will give you IF out all the time. We have to process the IF out all the time. Therefore, we should have the high speed ADC here. That is the primary requirements. We should have the IF level analog to digital converter here. Whereas in the pulse radar or in the CW radar, this is not mandatory. Because you can tap out the video signal, you can process the video signal with the low speed ADC. Or you can get the Doppler information from CW radar, you can do it by the low speed ADC. But in FMCW radar, no video out. It is IF out. So you have to detect everything in IF level. So IF is typically in megahertz frequency. Again, that depends your beta. If the beta is very high, then you will have, even for the chota changes, you will have the huge amount of frequency changes. Understand now? So the reason is now, so that there is the IF signal all the time. So the IF we have to measure now. So that IF will go to our amplifier. IF will go to the ADC. So ADC will amplify it. Suppose our IF is the maximum, the capability of the radar bandwidth is 500 megahertz, for example. Then you should have obviously 100 ADC is the primary requirement here. We should have. We can have it because of the lot of sophistications in the modern signal processing and FPGA based interfaces. Understand now? So if your static target, as long as at that point, obviously the same frequency will appear. If you see in the time domain, in the DSO, you can able to see this frequency variations. You will have the frequency something like that. Then one high frequency, then again low frequency. Same profile, whatever you are seeing here, can be seen in the scope. Because in real time, there is a modulation. So if you plot this signal in the time domain, you want to see it in the scope, then it will look like something like this. Then if you take this diagram and then this diagram here, if you want to see this signal, this is the spectrogram, right? Which you can see in the real-time oscilloscope. Real-time oscilloscope, there is a provision to see the FT plot. But whereas the normal DSO, you can see the time domain. So this time to this time, you will have the frequency something like this. Then here frequency slightly increased. Then again the low frequency now. So this much, this is our observation window. So this much longer period, we are observing the signal. So you are observing the signal this much longer period. This is your TP. This much longer period you are observing, right? So you will have some cycles, some number of cycles to compute the frequency by take the FFT for computing the frequency now, right? So that what we call del T time delay, right? So del T time delay will decide the range. If the range is increased, then that fellow will come. Maybe the another del T is somewhere here, del tau. So if the two targets are there, one return will come from here, another return will comfortably come after some time delay. That's all. So this two delay between here to here is the first target, and here to here is the distance between two target will give you FL to FH. Means that profile will not be varied. Maybe the return can start from any frequency, but after that it will pick up. Maybe you can start a bandwidth by 2 somewhere here, right? But after that it will go to FH, then it will come back to FL only. FH, FL, then FH, FL, FH, FL now. So the same frequency will be there in the received signal, so that we are mixing and getting the IF signal. So there is IF signal all the time, right? So the range by measuring the frequency, IF frequency, or by measuring the del T, it is possible to measure the range. Instantaneously you can measure the range. In fact, if the frequency is sufficient enough and you can measure in every PRT, you can measure the Doppler as well as you can measure the range in every PRT. Understand? Okay. Next thing is, suppose if the target is 2-3 targets, 2 targets are there, what happened? So one target is here, from this time to this time, this is only the frequency, and then at this instant there is one more del F, so one more del F also will start hota hai. It will go high frequency, it will come to its frequency, this will, it will be something like that. So this del F is slightly higher than this del F. That's all. This del F. This is nothing but a spectrum. This is nothing but FFT out. Short term Fourier transform output now. So third target, इसके ऊपर एक peak will come. इसके ऊपर एक frequency will come. So in the time domain, if you see, then till this time there will be one frequency. After that, this signal will consist of 2 frequency now. Something like the 2 frequencies are there. So 2 frequency signal, maybe something like this. 2 frequency, then 2 frequency here, something like that. So 2 frequencies, something like this. But if you take the spectrum, obviously you can separate out. So 1 peak and 2 peaks. And if you go for spectrogram, you can see in this way, frequency time. Or if you take the spectrum only, then you will have one noise, one frequency, another peak at this frequency. So this will tell you that there are 2 targets. The frequency value will tell you this is at this much kilometer and this is at this much kilometer now. But as we progress, we will see the range resolution and all. But how closely the target can be separated in the frequency domain, because everything is happening in the frequency domain now. Nothing is in the video out or envelope domain. Everything is in the frequency domain. Right. So for static targets will have the multiple peaks in the time. So this is the real time as we are observing here. So you can look at the signal profile spectrogram or in the spectrum. The spectrum will give you the peak and the spectrogram will give you the frequency profile. Fine. If the target is as long as a static target, then the profile will be something like that. So static, we can measure it now. If it is if the target is moving, if it is approaching you, then what happened? If the target is approaching you, then this FL to FH, this profile, Suppose FL to FH, this profile will be added by Doppler. Means plus FD if it is approaching target. Otherwise, minus FD now. So what happened? The FL is added by Doppler. FH also added by Doppler. Therefore, if the target is traveling, there is a moving target. There is a mobile target. The target is traveling at a sudden speed towards the velocity. So obviously, what happened? Then the FL will be shifted by sudden high frequency, so that fellow will be jumped over somewhere here. Because FL carries now. FL is added up by FD. So the frequency will be something like this. Right? It will be something like that. So the FH also is incremented by FD, and FL also is increased by FD. So this the difference between actual FH, transmitted FH, and received FH is equal to the FD. And then here FL, and then this FL is equal to the FD. Means by seeing your frequency spectrum in the spectrogram or in the spectrum, whether the frequency is coming down to FL or it is taking back FL plus some frequency. If it is FL plus some frequency, means that is a Doppler. There is a target at this range. The range will not be varied now. Range will be remain same, because the del tau is corresponding to range only. But FL plus delta F is equal to the Doppler frequency. So that much jump will happen in the spectrogram, in the spectrum of the bandwidth of the profile. So since FL is added by FD, FH also by FD, the beta will be shifted up by the FD. Now. So that time the beta will have beta plus FD up. Means the beta is 1 gigahertz beta. Now if it is 200 megahertz, then obviously it will jump up into niche 200, upper 200. So the bandwidth is remain same, but the bandwidth frequency range is shifted. Center frequency is shifted now. Means the bandwidth is remains same. The center frequency of the bandwidth. It is something like this. Suppose we had the bandwidth somewhere here. This is our bandwidth. Now the bandwidth is shifted to this level.
Sir, please adjust the report.
So now we had the bandwidth, earlier bandwidth somewhere here. Because of the Doppler, it will go from here to here, because the FL is increased by FD here, and this FH also increased by FD here. So if you measure the beta, this is remain beta, but center frequency is different. Earlier case, this was the center frequency. Now this center frequency, the center frequency also shifted in the bandwidth by FD amount now, right? So that is for the positive Doppler. If the target is receding, obviously then FD minus. So FL is decreased by FD. So what happened? In this case, this frequency will come down. This is the actual FL, no? This fellow will come down somewhere here. So it will go here. Then the FH also will come down. FL will come down. FH also will come down. Right. That means the beta is remain same, but its center frequency is shifted down by FD. So this difference is nothing but FD. This is our FD frequency. Now. So the idea is now the time, whenever the del F start coming, if you measure that time, it is possible to measure the range of the target, no matter how many targets are there. If all the targets are separated by the range resolution order, right, it is possible to measure the ranges, number of targets by measuring the time, del T of different echoes, different returns. And by measuring the up increased frequency, means the center frequency, that is FL plus delta F or FL minus delta F, it is possible to measure the velocity of the target. Since there is a continuous transmission, we no need to worry about the frequency. But whereas in the pulse radar, it is not so. In the pulse radar, there is a same concept, right? But the Doppler will not be available all the time. And throughout your PRT, it will not be available. It will be available only for the tau on period now. But whereas it is not the case here, it is available throughout your PRTs in the order of some millisecond, right? Therefore, we can simply measure the up frequency or down frequency or the delta frequency, so that we can measure range up, increased Doppler, decreased Doppler instantaneously now. Moreover, instantaneously in this FMCW radar, right? This is the one concept. One application is a continuous transmission, low power requirements, instantaneous measurement of our range Doppler, right? And then other than this advantages, one more advantage is there, that what we called range resolution. Range resolution, right? Range resolution now. Look here. As we have seen in the CW radar, no range, right? No range is possible, right? Second, in pulse radar it is possible, but you need to have very narrow pulse, something like this. Something like this, right? Very narrow pulse. So if it is a narrow pulse, then obviously you will have some 10-15 cycles of your RF signal, 10-15 cycles of your RF signal, correct? No? Therefore, you needed to pump very high energy. It will be some kilowatt, megawatt, high power is required, high power. And obviously, we should have very narrow pulse in order to achieve the good range resolution. Narrow pulse for good range resolution. Narrow pulse for good range resolution. Narrow pulse for good range resolution. We should have. Otherwise, we are losing the, we are sacrificing the range resolution, which is also important. We should have the good range resolution, right? Now, we have to pump high power. That is also very short period. These are all the problems. These are all problem means it is a practically, it will increase the complications in the system design now. So, as I told you, we have seen the pulse amplitude modulation that will not meet our requirements. So we do something in the waveforms. So right, when we attempt to do something in the waveform, the immediate result is FMCW radar. FMCW radar. Then the advanced methods are the pulse compression techniques. Now we talk about the FMCW radar. So what I'm going to do now, suppose I'm going to take the pulse something like this. This is a T. Instead of a narrow pulse, I'm taking the longer pulse. Longer pulse. Still the PRTs remain same. No change in the PRT. This is PRT. Instead of giving a chota pulse, I am taking one bada pulse. Right? Now, instead of sending only one frequency here, I'm going to send multiple frequencies. Stepped LFM, right? For example, I'm going to send the frequency something like this. F1, then F2, then F3, then F4, right? That means for some time, one frequency, another time, slightly increased frequency, then third one, further increased frequency, fourth one is high frequency, very high frequency, right? So we are going to send F1, F2, F3, F4 within this tau, within this tau. This is our tau, within this tau. Correct, no? But in earlier, we have sent only one frequency, maybe F1, F2, F3, F4 in this system now. But now we are sending the modulated frequency that if I'm putting here, maybe this is one frequency, 2, 3, 4. Maybe during this time it is F1, F2, F3 and F4. F1, F2, F3, F4, right? So this is the frequency we are sending now. This is the tau, maybe you assume. Continuously it is there. So this is the tau. This is the tau, right? So now what happened? Since we are sending the signal, F1, F2, F3, F4, that is modulated RF, right? Now the target F1, F2, F3, F4, is influencing the target, is influencing the target. So one target is somewhere here, another target is somewhere here, right? Another target is somewhere here. This target and this target gap must be only the duration of this F1 frequency. Maybe you call it as this is the tau, no, this is the tau, and this you call it as del tau now. So this is the del tau. Means if the two targets are separated by del tau period, where del tau is nothing but the frequency of the frequency period. Means how long we are sending one frequency, or at which instant we are switching the frequency this time now. So it is something like that. This is one del tau, this is second. So this is del tau 1, this is del tau 2, del tau 3, del tau 4. Means here some F1 heads, F2 heads, F3 heads and F4 heads we are sending now. If these two targets are separated by del tau, the frequency is going something like that: F1, F2, F3, F4, again F1, again F2. Transmission now, one transmission. So here the frequency first falls F1 here, then the F1 will come back, then F2 will come back, F3 will come back, F4 will come back. Correct? No? Then when the F1 completely turned back to the radar, that time the F1 is traveling here, and then F2 will fall here. At the moment when F2 is falling here, then F2 start falling here. Then at the moment when F3 is falling here, F1 turned already. So at F3, then F1 will come, F2 will come, F3 will come, and then F4 will come now. That means these two targets no need to be spatially separated by tau now. They can sufficient enough if they are separated by del tau, because we have the frequency information within the tau now. In earlier case, we don't have the frequency information. Therefore, we have looked at the target only by the tau resolution. So it should be separated by del tau by 2, minimum del tau by 2, because we have taken the envelope as the range resolution. The envelope decided the range resolution because we don't have any frequency information within the pulse now. Since we have the frequency information within the pulse as F1, F2, F3, F4, now our effective tau, the tau has come down to del tau now. So we can able to separate the targets if they are separated by del tau time in space, del tau now. So the range resolution is the range resolution R is equal to typically C tau by 2, but now that is equal to C into del tau by 2, not tau by 2. Del tau is decreased now. Del tau is shorter. So here the del tau is equal to tau divided by 4. Tau divided by 4, because we have sent the 4 signal now, 4 different frequency signal. Therefore, tau divided by 4 is the del tau now. Tau divided by 4. So there are 4 different frequencies. Therefore, the del tau is equal to tau divided by 4. Now the tau has come down. So the virtual tau is now del tau only. Virtual tau is a del tau. So the tau has come down just by modulating the frequency, modulating the pulse frequency into 4 different frequencies instead of sending one frequency now. So the range resolution is increased now. So the range resolution is increased. So another advantage is increasing the range resolution now. Increasing the range resolution. This is what we call the pulse compression in general. Means we are sending a pulse of tau period, but the effective pulse is compressed in form. Inside it is compressed. That is a del tau. So del tau is the effective pulse width, though the pulse width is increased now. Right. So the pulse width is actually enough. Actually, longer pulse width is there. Right, the pulse width is a tau now, but since we are going to keep a modulated frequency within the tau, the pulse width has come down to del tau. Therefore, the range resolution is increased now. Range resolution is increased. Since we are continuously transmitting different frequencies within the tau, we need to go for the high frequencies. We no need go for, we no need go for the high power transmission, because there is a longer pulse, so the average power can be maintained to reach the expected range. So the average power can be met by the longer pulse as well. So that the no need to go for the high power operations here now, right? So the another advantage is because of just modulating the frequency within the pulse period, it is possible to increase the range resolution. It is possible to increase the range resolution. That range resolution is equal to C into del tau by 2. C into tel tau by 2 now, right? So the tau is equal to now, the tau is equal to, I mean del tau is equal to tau divided by 4. If you have 8, then tau divided by 8. Tau divided by 18. Tau divided by 24 now. Tau divided by 24 now, right? So therefore the del tau, no, the del tau can be this tau period. The tau is a tau can be generalized. Tau is equal to 1 divided by beta. Tau is equal to 1 divided by beta. How tau is equal to 1 divided by beta? Suppose we have here effective tau. Suppose this is the pulse. This is the pulse period, right? But instead of sending only four different frequencies inside or 5 different frequencies, I am going to linearly increase the frequency throughout your time. Linearly, I'm going to increase the frequency now. So it is something like that. Increase the frequency, increase the frequency, increase the frequency, something like this. So it has the beta now. Now you cannot say that it is F1 frequency, F2 frequency, F3 frequency now, because it is a linearly increasing the frequency from this to this. Linear increment is there, right? Linear increment is there. Therefore, the del tau, that is the effective tau, del tau is equal to 1 divided by beta. If you increase the beta, obviously your del tau will come down. Del tau will come down now. If you decrease the beta, then del tau will go up. The del tau is directly related to the range resolution. Directly related to the range resolution now. So, dear students, modulation, you can get the highly increased range resolution. So the range resolution is equal to 1 divided by beta with some other parameters. But in general, you will see that other parameters as we progress. But in general, the tau is equal to, that means effective tau is equal to 1 divided by beta. 1 divided by beta, right? That means bandwidth is indirectly proportional to the del tau. If bandwidth is high, del tau is low. That is what we want, because we can have the very good range resolutions, even in the centimeter resolutions, right? Even you can have centimeter resolution, meter resolution, few tens of meter resolution, few tens of centimeter resolution is possible by having increased bandwidth, by having the increased bandwidth now. So the advantages of modulations are continuous transmission, therefore low power, right? And then we can measure the longer observation is there. So continuous observation is there, therefore you can measure the frequency, range, Doppler frequency, approaching Doppler, receding Doppler, range with increased pulse duration, which is not the case in the pulsed radar now. So here the pulse width is in the order of millisecond, TP. This is the pulse width now. So throughout this pulse width, we are increasing the frequency linearly now, right? Though the pulse width is very big, easily we can achieve the average required power. But pulse width is very high, but range resolution is also very high. Range in the pulse radar now, right? So these are all the advantages of FMCW radar. Therefore, the FMCW radar gains much attention nowadays for various applications. Moreover, everywhere the pulse radar will be applied nowadays. In fact, in labs also they start adapting into the FMCW radar for different applications rather than the CW radar or the pulse radars. CW radar are the pulse radars now. So these are all the advantages and these are all the principle or the signal signatures that is happening in the echo signals of the FMCW radar, right? So I stop at this level. We will continue tomorrow with some measurement methods. Any questions, please ask me.